Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of Tom's Gadget Garage. Today is video number 2 in my testing series for the newly released VMAX VX2 Hub Edition. And today we're going to be doing a top speed and acceleration test to see just how fast we can get this single motor, smaller, lighter weight commuter scooter to go on a 500 nominal watt motor, which can crank out on paper up to 1900 peak watts of power. Now VMAX does say that this scooter will go up to 33 miles an hour in ideal conditions, but by the end of this test, we'll see if that's feasible, especially with me weighing in at 200 pounds. Now, if you're curious what 1900 peak watts of power sounds like, I'm going to go ahead and play a clip of me spooling up that motor. And this is what that translates to in terms of top speed with no load and the wheels up in the air. So as you can see, that's over 40 miles an hour with no load on the scooter. So I'm very curious to see what that translates to into real-world performance. Now, I've covered several other VMAX scooters on this channel in the past, including the VMAX VX4 LT with its 1600 watts of peak power, as well as the VMAX VX2 Extreme GT. And in my opinion, the VMAX VX2 Hub Edition, which we're going to be looking at today, is a hybrid of those two scooters. You basically get the suspension and the kick plate from the VX4, as well as the small, lightweight, portable form factor that you get with the VX2 Extreme. Now, speaking of suspension, the scooter does have a front hydraulic suspension as well as a rear elastomeric or rubber suspension, which overall provides for a very nice ride experience, but we'll see how that translates into stability and ride comfort when we're riding around near top speeds. Now, I will be tracking today's speed test with the Draggy GPS performance monitor, which is essentially a GPS unit mounted to the top of my helmet, which interfaces with the Draggy app, and that's what I use to track all of my rides, and at the end we'll compare it to some of this scooter's biggest competitors. And finally, before we get into our testing, I will be riding around in Beast Mode, which is the fastest speed mode for this scooter, which should unlock speeds up to 33 miles an hour. And the way that you unlock Beast Mode is you actually hit the power button 5 times, and you'll get an audible indication that that has been activated. Alright folks, so now that we've covered the basics, let's go ahead and jump straight in to our top speed and acceleration test. We're going to go ahead and do round 1 in 3, 2, 1, go. All right. Picking up speed. 20 on the display. 25. 30. 33. 36. 38. All right, we're going to go ahead and call it there. All right, so we're going to go ahead and do the same thing in the other direction in 3, 2, 1, go. All right, strong kick. 15 miles an hour. 20 on the screen. 26. 30. 33. All right, looks like we peaked. We'll go ahead and call it there. All right, folks, so welcome back. As you can see, this VMAX VX2 Hub Edition has no issues getting up to speed, and it gets up to speed relatively quickly. On that first run, we did have a tailwind, so we did hit a top speed of 36 miles an hour, which is absolutely insane, and it actually caught me off guard because I figured the scooter would stop us at like 33 miles an hour because some scooters do electronically limit you, and this thing just kept going, and it finally stopped at around 36 miles an hour. And I'll tell you what, for going that fast on a 56-pound single motor commuter scooter, that ride was extraordinarily stable. Like, you can review the footage, there was absolutely no signs of instability. That thing was riding basically like a straight arrow. So very impressed to see that. Now, on the other way around, going into a relatively strong headwind, we were able to hit a top speed of 31 miles an hour. Once again, very stable. Now, if we average those two rides, that comes out to 33.5 miles an hour, which makes this officially the fastest scooter that I've tested in this single motor commuter kind of sub 60-pound segment. So really impressive results today. As you can see from my comparison chart here to some other scooters that I've tested, the Ninebot Max G3 does get up to speed the quickest. But as this scooter, as well as the Ninebot Max G3, approach 28 miles an hour, that gap in acceleration time shrinks considerably. And where the Ninebot Max G2 and other scooters will stop at 25, 27, or 28 miles an hour, the VMAX VX2 Hub just keeps on going to that top speed of 33.5 miles an hour. And it gets there in about 14 seconds, which is relatively quick, especially considering the size and weight of this scooter. Something I do want to double click into is the stability aspect of this scooter. And as you can see, it doesn't have any kind of steering damper or notch in the steering mechanism or anything like that. But what it does have is an axle offset. So as you can see from this image, the front fork suspension and the line of the fork sit actually forward of the axle. So that axle is actually offset towards the rear. And what that does is it provides additional stability, especially straight line stability. And that's the reason why those handlebars are rock solid even when riding around at 36 miles an hour. And the final thing that I want to point out that actually caught me by surprise is what you see on that display. As you can see here, over 2,000 peak watts of power. That's well over 100 watts of peak power more than what this scooter is able to crank out, at least on paper. So in the real world, this is a 2,000 plus watt scooter in a 56-pound form factor. That is absolutely insane. Anyways, I hope this was informative. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, thoughts, concerns. Happy to address those in the comment section below. And if you do want to pick up one of these scooters, I will include an affiliate link as well as a discount code in the description. And if you use that to make your purchase, it absolutely helps support this channel and keeps the wheels moving on future reviews. As always, thank you so much for tuning into Tom's Gadget Garage. We'll see you next time.